Bottom right-hand side, our Terran Archon, as these are 5-game series, by the way, so all 5 maps get played no matter what. Our Terran Archon is ByuN and freaking Dark. That's a hell of an Archon, if you ask me, as they start in the bottom right corner. And in the top left, Lambo and Harstem are going to be playing the Protoss. So, obviously, it's kind of interesting, because I feel as though there's a little bit of mixed races going on here, right? ByuN and Dark are going to play Terran all day, so we'll see how good Dark is at aiding the Terran. We'll see how good Lambo is at aiding the Protoss. As we get into this, I will just say, of course, you might see this one on YouTube. If you do, exclamation mark. No, that's not what I wanted to say. Sorry, my brain's just turned on. First match of the day literally just got started early. If you're watching this on YouTube and you do end up enjoying these games, we're trying to revamp the YouTube and revitalize it a bit. So a like on the video or subscribe on the channel goes a long way if you did enjoy the content. So do check that out. But not going to dwell on it too much, as obviously we do have this game already starting off. I'm going to give you guys a little hint for watching this as well, and I might repeat this throughout the day as more people join the live stream and stuff, and so on and so forth. Basically, you can tell who is doing what in Archon mode by the way in which things are selected. So you see here, there's a solid blue ring, then there's a dashed blue ring. You can see it with the gateway kind of flashing on and off with a solid ring, and the Nexus was flashing on and off like a dashed ring. The solid line is the player who is first on the scoreboard. So on the bottom of the screen, you see Lambo, then Harstem. That means Lambo currently has the solid ring whenever something's selected, and Harstem has the dashed ring. So this probe is being microed by Lambo because it has the solid ring around it in blue. The yellow is me selecting it, so ignore the yellow. But you see the blue ring? That means that Lambo is following or using that probe. Just as over here, solid ring there, means that ByuN is selecting these production structures. And Dark right now, I have no idea what Dark is doing, but I'm sure Dark is clicking on something, or maybe... yeah, there you go. Dark is in control of this Marine. He's hunting for the probe, as he doesn't have... he has the dashed ring because he's second in the list. So that's actually a really important thing, I think, when you watch Archon mode, because it actually does allow you to say, oh, this guy's macroing, oh, this guy's microing that drop, this guy's microing that fight. And those are all very important pieces of information, just to help you kind of, you know, be a little bit more aware of what's going on and to kind of really figure out and appreciate how the Archon is working together and stuff. But I think it's pretty cool. I learned this back when I was doing the Archon tournament last year. ByuN actually played in that with Maru, and I believe it was Lambo and Lazy who went through to win the entire thing in the end. Or was it? Yeah, they had a pretty good time. If they didn't win it, they got like top 2, I think. So yeah, all these guys have actually played a good amount of Archon mode, and I know Harstem and Lambo, they do a lot of practicing and fun stuff with Archon mode as well, so definitely a mode which you might not think is super familiar to these players, but probably more familiar than you'd really kind of initially imagine, as we are going to see a Hellion drop here initially from ByuN and Dark. And no expansion at all. So this is needing to do some damage, as Dark has a couple of problems actually lifting up the units into the medevac there. Turns out Dark's Terran control is maybe not tip-top tier just yet, but something to work on as Phoenix are producing, and this is a fantastic setup, I think, with the Phoenix out against something like this. It really sets you up well to minimize any damage you take, and if you don't take damage here, you are steamrolling forward. The biggest issue with the Phoenix is the follow-up is going to be cloaked Widowmine drops, and that's going to be a problem because you're then going to need Oracle Revelations to really help you out there. As here is the commitment in, and the Phoenix should be right on over here. And as Harstem brings the Adepts in initially, it is Dark micro on this drop, by the way. He loses a Hellion, he's going to try and escape away. 3 probes got taken down. Now the Phoenix is going to start lifting Hellions as well, and Dark just has to get out of there. Back at home, ByuN is continuing to execute the build initially. What I imagine is that you actually sometimes get these interesting switches in Archon mode, where somebody, you see now, Lambo is actually controlling these Phoenix. So what probably happens here is that at certain points of the game, Harstem's like, look, it's really important we get the build order exactly right. Or, look, it's really important that we micro this drop exactly correctly, right? Because if we don't do so, if we micro these Phoenix correctly, because if we don't do so, we can just die. But then when it comes to, you know, the Phoenix looking for opportunities and chasing on the map, that's when maybe Lambo takes over and Harstem goes back to focus on the build. I actually think that's, you know, looking towards the strengths of both players at different parts of the game. I know when ByuN and Maru used to play, Maru did a lot of the initial macroing, but then later in the game, Maru actually took over a lot of the a lot of the main army movement, while ByuN actually just moved around to kind of dropping and stuff when they played Archon mode. So there's definitely going to be potentially some flip-flopping in roles. You might see the Phoenix selected by, you know, Harstem initially, and now it's all about Lambo having those in control. I think that's really cool, and honestly, to me, it's kind of sad that Archon mode never became bigger, because these are all things which I think are very cool, and if there was some extra, like, viewing features and stuff to kind of see that sort of stuff happening, or some stats, I feel like that sort of stuff would make Archon mode super enjoyable to watch. I mean, it's already, I think, very fun to watch, but it could make it even better to watch, you know? Do you have the Cyclone Marines making their way through the center of the map? The Raven is going to be finishing from ByuN and Dark back at home. I like the I like the names in chat. Bjark. Bjark, Bjark. They sound like a very posh dog. Bjark? You're in my back garden, Bjark. I'll Bjark at you. There's a few units at the front. This is ByuN in control of these units. Dark is in control of the single Viking, which will harass the main. Meanwhile, Lambo brings the Phoenix out to the middle of the map, but the third base of Harstem and Lambo definitely in some trouble. A Phoenix lifted up this Viking here before he got any more damage done. It is just going to be taken down by the Stalker, so that will die, as the third Nexus will be cancelled as well, which is obviously a big win. Getting a cancel on the third base like that is a big positive as the Phoenix come through into the main base, and they will at least put some harassment down, getting some SCVs and trying to make up for some of the damage that is otherwise being done back across on the other side of the map. An auto turret going down and probes taking some hits. Just going to see our Phoenix just going to latch onto that Raven and really chase that one down. So that Raven will be picked off as our Phoenix back overhead. Going to go for maybe a couple more Marine lifts, but now locked onto by Cyclones, and Lambo dove a little bit too hard, loses one of the Phoenix. And that's frustrating, because you know those Phoenix are going to be a major part of the army composition as this game plays forward. I'm just going to be seeing a couple of Cyclones do kind of get set up out the front. Going to start making a bit of a move themselves here. Just zoning, right? You want to try and catch those Phoenix as they look for different ways in. So the Cyclones want to change where they are sat. This Observer here, do we have a scan for that? If it gets spotted, that would be obviously a really nice shutdown. Take away the information from the Protoss and takes away the chance to say, oh look, your units are here. Let's take the Phoenix over there, for example, right? Takes away a lot of that harassing potential as these medevacs load up in range of the Observer. Now, the Phoenix were there to kind of make sure they dropped off and that this drop didn't really go anywhere, although ByuN is going to take those units once more. Still Lambo just using these Phoenix to harass, going to find a Mule, an SCV building a depot in the back. Some key little bits and pieces, and, well, it is Dark moving this army up the left-hand side as ByuN goes to drop through toward the main base. In the main base, a single Stalker warps in. These units are going to have to go and respond to it. Colossi pulling through, but you're also going to need the units here to turn around the Cyclone Marine Force. These Marines get turned around pretty quickly. A couple of Widow Mines are burrowed up. So we're actually just going to go make a play onto the Robo facility. So that Robo's going to die, and that means an Observer falls. It's actually pretty rough, right? Because you're only Observers across the map, and these Widow Mines are still cloaked. So you don't actually have the detection you need to properly clean out this attack just yet. Obviously, that is painful, and that's not somewhere you really want to be right now. So ByuN and Dark are putting themselves into a really good spot. That Robokill is big. That's a really cute warp in right there, saving the day a little bit. As, yeah, the Phoenix don't actually want to fly over those mines too soon. A Probe and a Zealot giving up. And ByuN and Dark are just heading back home. They are absolutely content with the damage they have found so far. They do not see any reason to keep this going. They know that enough is enough for now. And they can, like I say, just kind of head back a little bit, hang on back, and go from there. Cyclone's actually got a lock on, and do get a kill right there, which is obviously nice. There's a few Marines going to load up, and me taking on over to the top side. So again, an attempted drop here from the ByuN Dark combo. Phoenix are here, and they're going to jump on this medevac right away. It gets turned around, and it's going to get chased big time. Medevac goes down, and otherwise just going to be seeing still a force over on that left-hand side, making its move over here. Now, again, it's all been about ByuN and Dark attacking, but can they actually break through? If Lambo and Harstem can just defend, this can still be pretty good for them. I mean, they're still in a good work count. They still have a reasonable army. So as long as they're defending, they're actually still in a very much so an okay position here for this game. The Marines are going to dance there and try and figure out if they can actually get away from this at all. The answer is, well, not really. So as everything settles down, we actually do just have a situation where you do just have to kind of sit back and take in the situation a little bit here as the Terran combo. They've not been able to find a pushing route. They've not been able to find a move through anywhere or any sort of success anywhere in specific on the map. So yeah, just kind of being shut down again. It's been a good defense from the Lambo Harstem combo. And we basically go from here to see what happens now. A few Phoenix still joined up in the center as Marines and a couple Marauders on the top. Phoenix going to go back through the middle. Make their way back home. Now the enhanced shockwaves coming up on the Ghost Academy and the +2 attack on the Engineering Bay. And the rest of this Bioforce still looking for an opportunity as a couple of Phoenix go chasing that medevac out of there. Still poised to deal damage, right? This is Dark stimming on this side. He's going to get the Disruptor right away. It's Harstem Micro in this army, but Dark is going to dive on him. He's going to get rid of the Archon. The Colossus getting healed up a little bit as well. I mean, nice to get rid of the Disruptor, though. That's obviously needed. On the right-hand side, we're going to have Lambo and ByuN getting into a little bit of a skirmish. So you can see now that it's not just one-player macros, one-player micros. This very much so becomes, hey, you know, you take this part of the army, I'll take this part of the army. And you've now got two players taking potentially two separate fights on each side of the map. And obviously there's a lot to say about making sure you have the right army split and so on. That's one of the difficult parts of Archon mode. Making sure each player has the units that they need. Looks like ByuN is taking control of the Bioforce, and now Dog is taking control of the Vikings. I love that. Just gonna have a someone to permanently micro the Vikings during this fight, as the Bio can be fully paid attention to by ByuN. He's got the Ghosts as well, looking for EMPs, and he does hit a couple already. So battery is gonna fade away as the Vikings still looking for their chance to get further forward. Phoenix are going to go down. That one Colossus will be the next target. I mean, there's two Colossi up there as well. Dark, this is your job. Realize it. Take advantage of it, and they absolutely will. Now, there's Zealots across the map, too, so that's happening while this larger fight takes place. The Vikings still having a field day, even a Voidra being caught up in it all, as the Zealots are having a good slice and dice over the natural in the third. 10, 11 SCVs already going down. One Colossus does get to survive at the end. That battery super low, still pumping out some healing toward the very end as well. I mean, if this wasn't for this counterattack, this game would have been over. But with the counterattack, the economy is low enough from the Terrans that the Protoss still just have this situation where if they can just survive, they can maybe pull this out. Let's see if they can just survive, though. As the Vikings make their play, they get the Colossus very quickly. Disruptor shot dodged immediately. The Vikings are going to land, so as we split away from that Disruptor, only one Marine goes down. The Vikings take a lot of the buffer, but it wasn't really in sync with the rest of the army. As now we're going to continue to try and fight here. Zealot's going down. Another Disruptor shot fires. Nice save. Lifts up into the medevac. That is what we call a hot pickup. And we are going to disengage for the moment. But, I mean, over time, this becomes worse for the Terran players, because if they cannot win this out soon, the economy disadvantage is really going to start showing itself in these games. And that obviously is pretty rough, as we're going to be seeing. A little bit of indecision there. Started drop, decided not to, decided to stay in the main though. Just going around the other side of the Sim City. It's actually really nice getting a few probes, getting more than I really thought they would be able to get done. Zealots are once again though diving down across the map, and they are already making their way into that base. So it's at least going to be some SCVs going down in return. Lost mining time, of course. Now, these Zealot counterattacks have been massive, just time and time again. This time, I mean, immediately making up for the damage taken across the map, and all of a sudden you can see the Lambo Harstem combo is going to be up, what, 35 supply or so? So they're up a whole bunch of supply, feeling really good about it. And yeah, like I said, all they had to do was keep on surviving, and they survived. A bad fight was backed up at least by their counterattack, and they survived long enough to get us here, which is looking to be the winning position. There's a couple more Zealots warp in. Well, we do have one drop on the left-hand side here from the ByuN and Dark combo, so we'll see if that can maybe find anything, but at this rate, not really feeling extremely hopeful or anything for it. There's a single Zealot showing up again. There go the medevacs up into the natural, going to begin to unload here. Big EMP goes down, hits the battery, so it has to be the super battery to do the healing. That's a nice EMP, but this is now too much of the army, and if you load up, you're going to get blinked on, and that's a bunch of dead medevacs. Oh, he targeted the forward one. Well, we've got more units in the main, so you are going to force the medevacs to unload, which is obviously enough GG from ByuN. Dark is like, no, I will micro my units, I will kill this Colossus, and then he types out GG. Dark's like, yeah, you won the war, but I won that single Colossus kill. So who's the real victor now? He's getting in the minds of Lambo and Harstem for game number 2. Bjark, we are coming for you. I don't know why it has that voice, but it's just the voice I put on when I say Bjark. Bjark. It just sounds like an angry, like a weird dog, right? Bjark, we will scare you away. It's like, I keep putting on like a German, like, twang to my voice when I do it. What do we call Harstem and Lambo? We could call him Harbo, Harstbo, Harsto. I can't like Harsto. Harsto. That doesn't have much of Lambo in it. Harstambo. I have a lot of ones that can work well. Lamstem. There's actually a lot of fun, like there's a lot of names that kind of roll together there. I like it. Awesome Lambo in the top right, they are the pink. In the bottom left are Red Terran, Dark, and ByuN. What does Archon mean? Archon mode is when 2 players control one, basically one player, right? 2 players control one set of units, one base. So this is not just ByuN, this is Dark and ByuN. The players swapped around from last time, right? So again, the solid line and the dotted line will always refer to whoever is first. So this time around, Dark is the solid red line, ByuN is the dashed red line, Harstem is the solid pink line, and Lambo is the dashed pink line, like on this Nexus right now. So just a little bit, like I say, you can see the different ways in which that Nexus is being selected. Like they're both selecting it right there. And that's just going to help you to kind of know who's controlling what. And I'm going to try and call that out as much as I can, because I think that's a very fun part of the commentary. Having, knowing who is doing what in these Archon games and who's controlling which drop. Like, last game when we saw Dark got to control the Vikings, I thought that was pretty cool. I thought it was very neat. Sorry, you've scrolled off the screen, but somebody asked, so I can't quite find your name, but somebody asked about if this is going to be on YouTube. Yes, that's the intention. Obviously, it depends if the games are good or not, but I think putting Dark ByuN and versus Harstem Lambo on YouTube would be pretty fun, so yeah, I would say why not. You can expect it on YouTube, I would say. APM, yeah, APM's pretty high, guys. The average is 600, which is obviously, well, whoa, 1,000! Harstem and Lambo found out we had the APM tab open. They were like, quick! We can find. I was like, quick! I can finally make Protoss look like it needs lots of actions. Lambo, press the buttons. Do the Zerg thing with the Protoss units. Make the APM explode. It's a robo opening. I mean, a robo opening is very safe as well. I think the idea here is both games, last game Phoenix, very safe way to open against a one base. Robo, very safe way to open against the one base here. And this is basically all just setting up with the Dark Shrine, just kind of because you don't really know what's going on, right? Like, you're not aware of what's happening behind this, but the Dark Shrine with the Robo, it gives you those options. Yes, obviously you're probably going to get a Prism here and go into the DTs across the map. But if you do need detection, you have observers on your side. The one thing I actually am somewhat surprised by is that there's no, there's not really anything in case this was a Hellion drop again. In that regard, the units are lacking. But on the other side as well, this is a combo that ByuN has done multiple times now, where the first game he does the one base setup and then expands late, and then the second game he fully walls off, and then as the mine game with that full wall off that looks like the one base setup, he actually just expands. So if you've watched a lot of ByuN lately, it's very possible you know that this is a tendency of what he likes to do, and so then you're not actually as afraid about that as you might usually be. So, a couple things to think about there. As we've got ourselves this Widow Mine drop initially coming through. Now, the Raven is on the way at least, so this should not be major trouble when it comes to the Dark Templar. That should be a pretty reasonable way to deal with them as the first Widow Mine drop comes in. Unburrow, reburrow, of course, the DTs show up, and the Raven just isn't ready yet, as, let's see, it's Lambo, I believe, controlling the DTs right now. On the other side of the map, Dark is in control of the Widow Mine drop, apparently, so it's his job to try and keep these Widow Mines active as long as possible. Oh, he got distracted. He didn't keep on switching targets there. So the Widow Mine drop gets 2 workers. A lot of lost mining time, but maybe could have even been more. That's something I don't think usually you would criticize. Well, we're kind of got, DTs back on the other side of the map. But in this scenario, because it's obviously Archon mode, you could maybe say, hey, Dark, why didn't we, keep that Widow Mine, from firing a little bit longer? Maybe he did just want it to fire, get a kill, and then he's just going to fly around with his medevac and threaten, as we do see 2 Archons into the main. And they are going to get themselves an SCV here. Archons are very tanky as well, so they have a lot of longevity when it comes to sticking around in this main base and just hanging out as long as possible. They get to really stick around quite a long time as the Prism pulls us back around to the front. Archon's going to unload, and one Marine already going down. Another Marine taking a little bit of damage as well. As you see, the Stalker chasing this medevac away. Going to push it through to the center of the map. Engineering base, siege tank, marines, all continuing up at the moment as this medevac of Dark and ByuN. Finally getting back, like I say, this has just been Dark's job as of late, just keeping control of this medevac, making sure you roughly know where it is at. Just keeping an eye on it pretty much all the way throughout as the 2 Archons going to load back up into the prism. Mine does get burrowed. I'm just going to be taking down that probe, so the probe will fall. I was going to see our gates coming through, our charge is coming up. Our forge is on the way as well here from Harstem and Lambo, so getting all of that ready to roll. As you see, the prism still just around the front here, trying to figure out what is going on. See if there's any opportunity to maybe do some damage and obviously dive in and pick up some workers or so. Obviously, it is keeping the ByuN and Dark combo back at home, right? It's keeping them from doing too much. An auto turret got a couple workers. It is keeping them back at home, and I think that's more than anything is already fantastic. And in fact, here, going to chase down this drop a little bit. And we'll get rid of a few Marines. That medevac's super low, so it's kind of scary as the Prism is going to chase that medevac down. Run, medevac, run! I mean, the Archons have very small arms, so they can't shoot very far. And unfortunately for the medevac, that's probably what saves it as it boosts back around. Gets out of trouble, and now there's a Viking to zone away the Warp Prism. And for now, the Archon drop will have run its course, but potential to maybe get back involved again a bit further down the line. Yeah, just being annoying here. Some little bits and pieces from the Raven. 6 kills on the Raven, and just chilling now in the back of that mineral line. Obviously, he can maybe come in again later, of course, and that's, again, just such an annoyance. Yeah, okay, it means the Raven isn't with the main army. It doesn't necessarily need to be there right now. It doesn't need detection over here. Yeah, you are fine to have that Raven across the map, so I like the usage of it. Pick up some workers now, use that energy, and then just, make sure you have the energy saved at the time where you maybe want to make a larger push, and then you can really get something out of it. Would be my assumption. Archon's just going to chase that medevac out of there. We are back with the Raven, by the way. Auto turret going down again. Yeah, I mean, Stalker's just left here, but like I say, it's an annoyance keeping Stalkers there. And this Viking's now going to find its way around Dark, the one to bring this over. And we'll get rid of 2 probes right away, as now the bio army of Dark and ByuN showing up over here. Zealots, Sentries, an Immortal, and an Archon. All getting together. I'm still going to look for a little bit of a chance. No! The Widow Mine just burrowed. Harstem and Lambo losing attention of the Warp Prism for a few moments there. That is so costly. I mean, that's really, really costly. Alright, well, Bio4 is going to come up the left side here from Dark and ByuN. I mean, losing the Prism, though. Now you don't have any way to keep the Terrans at home. And okay, you've kept them on 2 bases for a very long time. Can you keep them on 2 bases any longer? Probably not. Do you want to fight here? Probably not either, right? I mean, your army's not really made for attacking into a lot of Widow Mines and tanks like this. If those Zealots get blown up by all the mines, everything else kind of just dies. So you've got to be super careful right now. about which fight you take. Maybe catch it as it moves forward. This army is actually going to stim in. We see an opportunity maybe get an Archon. We're going to find an Immortal going around the other way. Lambo couldn't quite save that. It is Harstem in control of this major army at the moment. He's the one that keeps selecting it, as it seems to be... Trying to figure out who's in control of this one. Looks like ByuN is the one sieging up those tanks, selecting those Widow Mines. Some SCVs on the other side. Is ByuN coming in to defend that as well? Okay, now Dark's in control of this army, so it looks as though they are... We are going to see kind of Dark versus Harstem on the micro fight. As we kind of go through the side, the Widow Mine went off even though he got an attack off on it. Oh, I mean, the flank is obviously really good for the Protoss players. Will it be enough? As the extra reinforcements on the bottom side coming into play as well. There's a lot of Zealots that are very low HP. Those Widow Mines put some work in on the right side. They ripped apart a bunch of those Zealot shields. 8 probes died during this as well. That Raven has been active. 14 workers killed in total. But losing so many medevacs on the tail end of this. The getaway is a little bit messy, and I mean, supplies are very even now. These Stalkers have to be careful. There's not a ton of tech in this Protoss army. We are going to drop the force fields there, but that's a really nice pickup. That's ByuN that moved that medevac forward, saved some units. Harstem's still the one on the hunt, pushing across the map and really feeling like he can maybe find some damage here. Ghosts have now shown up. That's a major moment in defending against this as well, because Ghosts are really good against everything on the map from the Protoss players. You know, the Protoss players' army really relies on just having the shields and the bulkiness of the army to kind of carry them through. So yeah, that's a massive little something. Harstem and Lambo out around the left-hand side. Some rock's going to get taken down here. This Stalker moving across the left as well. Just a couple of sentries warping in as our first disruptors are taken to the field as well, of course. Another nice little addition here, having those disruptors available obviously should go a long way to help you out in this. As our Zealot's going to take some damage. Disruptor shot fires. We lift up a couple units. Just going to be seeing our Widow Mine still burrowed up on the back. I'm just going to see this Bioforce coming through again. Another couple of kills. Man, this drop going over here as well. Dark and ByuN are once again in this situation, it feels like, where they can maybe do a lot of damage right now, but if they don't do the damage soon, maybe they're in some trouble. I mean, they really are getting it this time. 13 workers go down. That changes the game from being down, 15 workers basically. Now you're equal on workers, plus you've got the mules, so it does turn it around big time. I think this time around they've got enough control on it. It's Dark on this left side with this drop. Some beautiful stepping forward. We get the scan. He's going to kill off the DT, the Stalker, and then these probes are still in trouble. Opening more DTs while the scan was still active, as these units on the right side do not get away, however. Lambo chasing in with these DTs and the Zealots. Dark to try and chase them down, though, and he is getting the kills still. Even going to lift up and go elsewhere. Escape through the top. 21 probes going down. So much damage dealt again. And, well, Lambo's just out. Harstem's out. They're not going to stick around in it. They know that their army's not going anywhere. They know that the Terrans have got control of this game. And they know that this is just going to get tied up. 1-1. So tied up we are. Hey, what's up, OzProdos? Just so we get this game going. Thank you so much for the 100 bits. Is Wardy doing awesome content yet again? In the bottom right-hand side, our red Terrans are going to be ByuN and Dark. And the top left, our blue Protosses are going to be Lambo and Harstem. Proxy time. You guys know what keeps happening to me? I keep looking at my overlay, and just the way that I have the Olimoleague logo set up in the top right, when I glance over there, and I don't know, maybe some people will be able to relate to this, but in World of Warcraft, when your armor gets damaged and you have like, it shows you like in yellow, or in yellow which pieces are about to break, and in red which pieces are broken on like a model. For some reason, I keep glancing over to my expert, and I'm like, shit, my armor's all yellow. I'm like, shit, I have like an automatic response, like, oh crap, I need to go repair. I guess it's just the positioning that I put the Olimoleague logo in today has kind of got that sort of shape, and I don't know, like, there's just, I've done it like the first time I was like, oh my god, and the second time, I've done it like two, maybe 3 times now. I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Like, it just, the way I keep glancing at it, like, it just must be in this, like, a similar position that I used to have on my UI or something. I haven't played WoW in, like, months. Just, yeah, an interesting little something. Ooh, it's a marine proxy, which means we're going to build a factory here. That's very interesting. Obviously, with the factory coming up, this really becomes quite the all-in rather than just a little bit of pressure, which it could have been if you go into like a Reaper or anything. Gonna react to the barracks. Few possibilities. You can build a tank and react to Marines and just really go for like an all-out push. You could obviously swap the factory to the reactor, and you could be talking about some Hellions, have a starport up into Widow Mines and keep dropping. I think with the barracks here, this is much more... why would you have the barracks here? If not to just go all out with Marine production and so on. No, I'm wrong though. Factory's going to go to the reactor. I guess the benefit of having the barracks here is obviously you get the reactor built for you. For the factory, so it doesn't have to waste time building itself. So it is going to be Hellions at first. We will commit to that. So that's how this sets up initially. Let's see how it continues then over the next little while. See exactly what the plan may be. Like, do we go all the way to 4 Hellions, then we drop? I'm just intrigued by the barracks, because then, you know, does the barracks ever have another roll? Okay, it's 2 Hellions into Widow Mines. So we're probably going to consistently build medevacs here and just keep on dropping. So the first 2 Hellions already running into the natural, and then you've got the Widow Mines that are just going to drop, and just, like I say, they just don't stop coming, right? So that's going to be the setup here, is Hellions hunting for some more probes. These 2 are going to go down, right? It's 4. Not bad for the first 2 Hellions. Obviously, super early damage being done. This Hellion going to take an Adept in the main as well. So really just going to be seeing this, looking for something extra. The Oracle out. Oracle is an okay setup, because at least you have some detection available. But not endless detection. Armory's coming up. The Widowmine wants to stay alive at least until the Armory is done, preferably, because if it was able to do that, it would have forced a Revelation already. Now it does not. He's going to drop this here. He's going to... I was going to say, I think the burrow is a misplay. And I think that's Dark Control Net. But I think if that was ByuN Control Net, I don't think he burrows. I think he drops the Widow Mine, expecting the activation on the Oracle. And then you relift the Widow Mine, save it from the Oracle, and then you drop it again when there's no longer a, a Pulsar Beam available anymore. As one Widow Mine here gets taken to the side. Phoenix being made, so the idea right now is to make sure that these Widow Mines never get a chance to burrow. The Phoenix can obviously lift them up. This one does get burrowed though, and that's why you do spend your Revelations, your Oracle energy. And then this should go kind of okay for you as a Phoenix chases down that medevac. Obviously that's when the new medevac starts showing up, and this starts becoming a really messy affair. You get one probe, and again, if these Widow Mines are split up, then you can force just so many Revelations. It's hard to keep up with the detection needed. And that's absolutely where this game can get a little bit out of control for our pros players. That's a nice Revelation. Nearly got a connection on the air units. Not quite in the end, so that Widow Mine does get cleaned out. Still have another one on this right-hand side. We've still got one on this left side. Going to be active again soon. You can see them re-establishing where the probes were stacking up. Didn't want to let anything too crazy happen. Finally, we lose 6 probes. This is really stressful, because obviously you've kind of got to put your trust in each other and say, hey, look, I'm going to cover this base. I'm going to cover that base. You know, if they both try and move probes at the same time, there can be a big problem where it's like, oh no, you moved them last second, I moved them last second, and now they just kind of fight against each other and clump up instead of going one certain way. That was not the choice, trying to kill that Widow Mine off. 14 probes now dead. This is starting to spiral. There is still no expansion at home from the Terran. It is about to be done. That is the one benefit right now, but another Widow Mine going off, and yeah, this is getting out of control, and I can imagine it gets hectic on the communications, like you say. Hey, like, you take the natural, oh god, you deal with this one, right? It's very easy when the first Widow Mine drop comes in. Harstem says, hey, Lambo, you deal with that. The second one comes in, maybe Lambo says, you deal with that, or Harstem says, I've got this one. But when there's Widow Mines everywhere and you're losing control and trying to call which ones are about to fire still, which ones are still kind of coming in, I think that's where the craziness kind of takes over your comms. I know Harstem and Lambo are likely to be streaming, by the way, guys, so it might be worth listening in on their streams as well if you want to hear their first-person communications. I think that should be pretty cool. Widow Mine gets burrowed up. There's another kill. Love this Widow Mine on the high ground. Just a sort of position that's awkward. If you don't quite catch it being there initially, then it's very easy to lose a unit to that, like an Oracle or so. That obviously would be very expensive. Widow Mine got a little bit greedy trying to get towards the Adepts here. The Adept count is pretty high. 10 Adepts and 4 Phoenix in the game. The starport's decided enough is enough and it's time for it to go home. But all said and done, look at the supplies. You know, the Terrans, while they did a lot of damage here, they killed 28 probes. It cost them a lot. Look at resources lost. They lost double what their opponents lost. And because Lambo and Harstem never lost a unit outside of probes, and they've been able to just keep rebuilding probes off 2 bases while the Terrans won 1 base, they're in an okay economy, and they're going to have a good army supply. There is, of course, something to be said about income. You can see a lot of the times ByuN and Dark have been in the income lead this game, because, well, they've been forcing their entire mineral lines to move away from Widow Mines and to respect that and to respond to it. So, yes, there's been a lot of times when the income has surged in their favor. Is that enough, though, as these adepts come across the map? No upgrade or anything on them. You can see the Marines already scared to fight a little bit. They actually stimmed quite early on. And that stim, yeah, pushes out damage. But now you're kind of hurting until you get some more medevacs up. And at the moment, there's no medevacs on the map. And the starport obviously needs to get a reactor going as well. Looks like it's going to build it itself. Oh, this is really nice. It's going to catch these Widow Mines, so they're all going to go down. So we kept building Widow Mines here for whatever reason. Maybe feeling like you could get a lucky catch, but Lambo and Harstem were paying attention. They're able to clean that up. This really does look as though Lambo and Harstem are on their way to a pretty neat Game 3 victory where, yeah, they were under a lot of pressure, but they really handled it well. And it fell apart at times, but it still took a long time for them to fall apart, and by then they'd already traded very well with a lot of the other units going down. I think particularly important is that they just never lost Phoenix. They never lost any of the actual army units. It was only ever workers that went down. Because when you start losing your army units, that can really spiral even further out of control a lot of the time, I think. So, happy to see that if you're cheering for Lambo and Harstem. A really cool game, actually. The series actually just been cool in general. I love these new Olimoleague formats. I like that they do kind of like a more standard event, and we do like Archon, or we did TvP a few weeks back. It's been a fun mix of different things, and the games have always been very cool as well, like very high level. The way this works as well, by the way, because all 5 maps are played, is that you just get money for every map won. So, you know, each team is basically getting paid for each map that they win today. Obviously, that's something which is worth keeping in mind. Mr. Adept's is going to clean out that armory. Marine's still spawning. Factory going to build a reactor. And another barracks. Now, 2 barracks coming through. So we get 3rd CC for now 4th and 5th racks. The only thing is that the Protoss players don't really have an army to come and kill the Terrans. So even though they've kind of gotten into a comfortable position now, it's not like they can really do anything about it right away. And so we do just kind of end up sat back waiting a little while for some further action to come on through. So the depot's on the way down. +2 attack will be done. And that's actually something from ByuN and Dark. They have no armor upgrades. So they're really working with like kind of a glass cannon army. You know, they have all the firepower, but not a lot of the survivability. That was a little lag spike, right? I mean, we're on NA, so actually, I mean, I shouldn't be lagging. It doesn't look like it either. Some SCVs actually pulled with this army, but the Phoenix went for massive lifts. Maybe too many all at once. Didn't actually kill many of those Marines, but obviously wanted to make sure there wasn't too much Marine damage going out on the Phoenix at the same time. So that's a weird little balancing act that just had to happen live. And these Phoenix are doing everything they need to. Getting rid of these medevacs is obviously amazing. They know about the SCVs coming. There's only 2 medevacs here. Make that 1 now. This one's obviously going to go down. There it is. 1 medevac. So you've got basically 1 stim, 1 push. And if you don't win the game with this 1 push, well, get in trouble. These sentries, they need to hold their force field for when the stim is used. The moment stim is activated, you force field, you keep this army away, and you win this game. But if you use that stim just a little bit too soon, as that's the last medevac. Okay, 2 new ones about to show up. If you let this stimmed army get on top of you, you use a force field too soon, okay, that's not so bad because you've still got more force fields available. 1 Colossus on the way. I don't know if I wouldn't have even just minded a single disruptor here, right, instead of Colossus. Phoenix actually back across the map, which I also don't really hate because it feels like they have more value over there than trying to fight this, where they're likely to be overrun. This army, the reason you're so scared is because there's +2 attack on these units. They will shred things, and that's why the Colossi need to be here, because you need that splash to really save you. No unit or no medevacs on this army. Now as we stim on in, the Protoss players are just running, and the Terrans are able to actually trade very well initially, and this is why you didn't really want to take that fight until Colossi out, but your Colossus went to the main to defend. So splitting this up, definitely helping the Terrans out. I mean, you are going to struggle again because you're having to stim multiple times, and you just don't have the healing to sustain that, so you're permanently damaging your units in this fight, and that's going to be a big part of why Lambo and Harstem are able to hold no matter what. And ByuN is out of here. Dark is going to micro for just a little bit longer. It's fun to see that. Dark is not going to give up until his last units are gone. He even drops the mule. He's like, huh. He's like, I got to drop mules if I leave sometimes, right? He's like, it's the anti-mana mule. Honestly, people actually got very good at Archon mode, and I know it's not like a major game mode or anything, but people really got very good at communicating and figuring out how to do it and stuff. A lot of these guys use it to practice sometimes when they have a big match coming up. You know, you play 1v2 and you just have basically someone that can really multitask like a god, and they can really just test your multitasking a bunch. I know Reno uses it a lot, preparing for Terran players ahead of Katowice and stuff, so yeah, it's it's a cool mode, underloved, but yeah, obviously not so not so great when you're trying to initially get tournaments going, and it's like, hey, we got a cool new mode where people play, you know, 2v2 with one set of units, and actually the best way to play is just one guy controls it all. Kind of it was maybe one of the killers of Archon mode initially as well. Top right, Dark and ByuN is taking on Harstem and Lambo in the bottom left. Just in case you guys weren't here earlier, I'll just re-explain again how you can tell who's controlling what. These lines, you see there's a full solid red line and then the dashed red line. Those are the different lines of who is controlling what. So when that solid red line is selected, that is the first player on the scorecard. So in this case, in red, it's going to be Dark with the solid red line. Then when that dashed red line is coming up, that's when ByuN is selecting it. So here they're both kind of tagging in and out of the CC. Probably just got set up hotkeys and spamming a little bit. Over here, for example, you can see the solid pink line was on this probe for a little bit. Ignore the yellow ones there, me selecting things. But that solid pink line again, that means Harstem is currently controlling this probe. And you can see there, just as he dropped it down, Lambo selected this gateway, and he probably hotkeyed it. So, oh, not gateway, sorry, the Stargate. So Lambo now is taking that Stargate, obviously added it to a hotkey. And back at home, looks like Harstem is in control of the Adept, etc. building and so on and so forth. So that's how you can kind of keep an eye and roughly know who is doing what when. We should probably make that a chat command, because I feel like I'm going to explain it. I always end up explaining it a lot. And maybe I still would if it was a chat command, but maybe it should be a chat command too. Maybe we can set that up between series or so. ByuN and Dark fighting over control of the command center. Yeah, well, it's not, it's actually not so bad if they're just spamming it and they're not actually doing anything. It's when one guy's like, we're gonna put the CC rally in this way, the other guys are like, no, that way, no, this way, no. It's worse when they both try and select the same units and they try and control those units at the same time, you know? That's when things can really go wrong. And that shades up the ramp. Doesn't go anywhere. Are the players using some voice chat? Yes, I would imagine so. When we ran an Archon tournament last year, ByuN and Maru played as a combo. And they didn't have voice chat. ByuN didn't have a microphone. So they were typing all game long while in the middle of major fights, they'd be typing at each other and Maru would be like calling ByuN out, be like, yo, what the hell was that micro? Like, what are you doing? And then ByuN's like, where are my units? Where's your macro at? It was pretty fun. As this is getting pretty serious, by the way, with these Marines. Actually having a great time. Just going to get rid of both the batteries that were built. And the Void Ray taking a beating, too. It's obviously a pretty substantial deal when you've lost your batteries. And you do have that bunker stand up as well. Man, these batteries are trying to build way too close to the bunker. The Marines can obviously just jump in and out of the bunker very easily. I feel like you're just trying to get too much done all at once there. As the Protoss. They are now going to start getting those batteries up. This is not going to be, obviously, with the factory or the starport, so you're only on Marines to defend this, which can be annoying, but when you get Stim, you can potentially just break out and really burst this down, which is something you can't do anywhere near as quickly as when you're playing kind of like the factory Cyclone defense, against a proxy Stargate Void Ray attack. Void Rays are going to activate their prismatic alignment here. They don't break through, though. And that is going to be the batteries using up some of their regen once again. I'm a little concerned because the more regen that gets used now, the less there is to save these Void Rays once Stim is done. Might even wait for Stim and Combat Shields, right? All you need is one big Stim in, and even if the Void Rays back away and don't want to fight, that gives you the chance to clean out the battery line. And once that is gone, you're in trouble. We see a Forge coming up. I think they're going to add cannons because I think they know they're going to get busted, and if they have a couple of cannons, it can make the world a difference. But I think it's going to be too late by the time they have cannons even on the way. Because this army's got 5 seconds until combat shield, and I don't think there's any reason to wait. I think waiting doesn't do anything for you here. We stim forward, wow, we just kill a Void Ray straight away, make that 2. Yep, this is convincing, not even close. Has too much damage output for the batteries to heal, and now you kill the batteries off. Harstem and Lambo gonna type out the GGs in game 4. We'll go to Dark and ByuN, and we're gonna get all 5 maps naturally here. We don't even have to force them to play all 5, and you know, money per each map is how today works. We can get all 5 maps anyway. So Dark, ByuN, Harstem, Lambo going to game 5 with the proxy Void Ray defense. Bottom right hand side, we do have our red Terrans. It is ByuN and Dark in the bottom right hand corner. In the bottom left, it is going to be our pink Protosses, Harstem and Lambo. Yeah, really cool to see some first-person streams. Lambo streaming. Surprised Harstem isn't streaming, actually. But ByuN is streaming as well, so if you want to check out ByuN, then also want to watch out for. Yeah, gateway coming through. Simulator getting started. We are going to see our probe already going for a journey over the center of the map. Black Band to wrap us up. So the other team, by the way, so there's 3 teams today. We got 3 of these 5 map series. The other team is going to be Solar and DRG. They're going to be playing Zerg. I actually, think it's unfair that Solar and DRG get to play both their main race, right? I'm not sure what happened there. But B, Zerg, in my opinion, is the strongest in Archon mode. And there's a lot of discussion about this, like which race is strongest. A lot of people think Terran because you can do all the cool micro and so on. I don't think anyone actually says Protoss, actually. Like, pretty much no one says Protoss. I really think it's Zerg because what Zerg can do is they can just have somebody creep spread. And that seems like really lame. Like someone to just creep spread, you're like, well, does that really make so much of a difference? Yes. You basically, if they play correctly, it's basically always possible to have your entire map covered in creep. Like, it's almost impossible to keep up with denying that creep. And even if you put someone full-time in charge of clearing creep, it can be, like I say, it's just really, really tough because someone can defend the creep all the time, replace it instantly. So you get creep, like, everywhere. And it's really crazy because it really makes you realize that creep spread is truly balanced around the Zerg having to really focus on and do other things. So kind of excited for the Zerg matchups later because I know it sounds ridiculous, but time and time again when I've casted Archon mode, Zergs just having a crap ton of creep spread has absolutely been the reason they've been able to dominate. So we'll see if that is true today. Something to watch out for later, and just a bit of a preemptive mention as to what is still coming up, of course, as these games continue. Now, obviously, this factory and starport has been built outside of the main, so you can see that go along. So, I mean, they're not super close or super far out on the map, but they don't need to be because it's a close-by air spawn anyway. So you really don't need to be that far out on the map. There's another Hellion coming through. It's going to be 3 Hellions with the medevac. While Stambo are currently building a robo, so they're going to have an observer coming through. Problem is, an observer is actually like worst case scenario against a Hellion drop because you just don't see it in time. Oh my god, we're going to go battle cruiser behind this as well. Well, okay. We're going to have a really fun build here. I actually think these first Hellions might just end the game, honestly, though. This is going to be really, really tough. Let's see how much damage they get done already. 4 probes going down. 5. Okay, one Hellions dead. It was really nice these units started moving toward the main base very quickly from the Protoss. Otherwise, they would have been in even more trouble, as obviously 9 probes going down. Some lost mining time is a big deal. It's super early in the game for 9 probes to die. You're going to get number 10 here as well. Nope, nope, nope. The Hellion just kept on running. It did not turn around at all. Oops. That was a mistake. Alright, well, as a battlecruiser starts up, the Hellions definitely did enough initially, but a reasonable defense, considering they weren't in position right away. I felt like that was actually a pretty reasonable defense from Harstem and Lambo, so they survived. They're up a base. It's the battlecruiser that's the real question mark. Is there going to be enough to fight a BC? Oh my god, the observers in the main base. Did they actually see the, installed the fusion core? So you actually do know now a little bit of what's going on. Love the battery being built. They actually saw as well this, I didn't realize, but they saw as well the starport down here, so now they really do know what's going on. Fully aware of what's up. Now, the battery is really cool there. Marine count is good to fight these Stalkers, as it is going to be Lambo on the Stalker micro. Is Dark currently controlling these Marines. Ooh, just narrowly gets a Stalker, doesn't quite manage it in the end. Flight Council still building up then on the natural as the BC does show up. That's just going to straight up target down the initial battery, which I suppose is one way of doing it. Now going to start putting some damage on the Stalkers, but it's already half HP. So I'd say it's fair to say that this is maybe not quite done enough so far, but you've then got this Marine tank push coming in. The BC keeps so many units in the main base that this army is able to get straight into position without issue. Cancels up the bunker, but if you target fire the Stalkers here, potential to do a lot with the tank, but nice split. A nice little flank as well, as the BC now was out of position. And now this BC, showing up, does not have a teleport away available, so BC goes down. Some Stalkers being picked off as a punishment for that. A new tank will at least get siege to try and make something of this, but I think that tank goes down. If that tank goes down, there's not really enough here. Stalkers push back up the ramp. Marines, SDVs moving through the bottom side. The Observer just going to move across as well. Wants to go and check exactly the situation. Mostly we'll want to check, hey, are you guys really still just one base? There's no expansion, right? It's just that sort of confirmation. Seeing units still building here is very good to have. Stalker's going to hit this Liberator immediately, so that's turned around. ByuN and Dark are so far not able to make it into the Protoss spaces, and that means that Harstem and Lambo are sitting up 43 to 25 workers. A new round of SCV showing up. Well, that's usually a sign that the Terrans are in some trouble, as these Stalkers just micro well and tank to stabilize, but you're stabilizing so far away from being, from kind of on top of the base. You're meant to be on top of the base, you can deal damage right now, and that's just honestly not happening. I'm just going to see that Liberator sieged, and we scan to get rid of the Observer. There are going to be a few Stalkers counterattacking, trying to pick off reinforcements. I feel like we're in a comfortable enough position to do that realistically, but dropping the main's kind of cute. Potential there to start dragging the Protoss players to be a little bit too thin on the defense. It feels like this Liberator and this tank aren't getting anywhere. Units did warp into the main base, and a couple of Marines get left behind. They can't be saved. It just falls further and further away from where it needs to be from ByuN and Dark. They lose a tank trying to reinforce as well. Now, those Stalkers are obviously really well set. Exactly what you need in a position like this. Just makes it so much easier to deal with. This tank is so far back as well. I mean, it doesn't even matter though. Harstem and Lambo say, you know what, then let's do this. Stalkers show up from the other side. The Immortal pulls out of the lib range. In fact, the micro out of the lib range in general is really good. It's Lambo controlling these Stalkers on the backside. Harstem controlling the Stalkers on the front side. And that will be how they take game number 5. The battlecruiser rush was not a success. I know, very, very sad when the battlecruiser rush doesn't work out. But that is going to be